What up, loved ones? What it do? Spotty Young right here. You know where I'm from. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to this channel right here, just hit the subscribe button real quick and give it a like if you think it's cool, if you think it's real. You know what I'm talking about? So, on this episode right now, I'm going to be talking about my experience doing time with the Native Americans, also known as the American Indians. So I'm gonna share my experience from my point of view, from my perspective. You know what I'm talking about. So going all the way back to CYA days, back in I believe it was 2005, 2006. You know, I was like 16 years old and shit. Uh, I already met them. I already met one of them, and he was a legitimate Native American. Um, my boy Cyclone and shit from San Jose, and yeah, he was cool, man. Like everybody else was all busy, power tripping, politicking, talking about the superficial shit, man. Like gang banging and shit like that. What everybody talks about in YA and shit. But him, although he is XIV, he's more into like reading books and educating himself, man. At a young age, he was precocious, man. I gotta give it to him. I give that full respect, dog. And you know, um, so he was on his own little world and shit. But at the same time, he's still a solid motherfucker, and can nobody fuck with him and shit. One time there was this black dude and shit, right? And this black dude, he's a muscled head, man. His fucking neck is like this big and shit, all muscle head. He's fucking all his muscles exaggerated and shit, 8 pack, everything, man. And he's just like a fucking musclehead, dog. He was intimidating a lot of people and shit, man. And but not fucking Cyclone though, not the homie and shit though. Cause one time we was on the dorm and shit, and we was like waiting for showers, and oh boy, what do you call this? The black dude, he was throwing a fuck. So throwing a fuck means you can pretty much throw a fuck on anything. Like for example, everybody check game, man. This fucking microwave right here is only gonna be for me. If you use it, fuck your dead ass homies, fuck your fucking everything and shit, hop up, if and what happens is if you say that, if you throw a fuck on anything, for example me, then somebody could say reject and we have to get down on the spot, that means somebody don't like what I have to say, so that's what throwing the fuck is. And I believe during that time we was in our boxers, just in a dorm waiting and shit. This is a dorm, this YA. And it was quiet because the guy, he was the black dude, the buff guy. I think he was like the manager for the bathroom, the shower area at the time and shit. So he came out and he was throwing the fuck. He was like, "Hey, check it out, man! Everybody in here, make sure you fucking put your fucking boxers in the can, and make sure, like, or else fuck your, whatever." And everybody was quiet because pretty much when somebody's throwing a fuck, it's like you're trying to call somebody out, trying to call somebody's bluff. Like if they don't like you, they don't like what you gotta say, then anybody is welcome to fucking reject that shit. Say reject. That means disrespecting the person that was throwing the fuck. Hop up and fucking get down on the spot and shit. So anyways, yeah, man, nobody expected this shit. I didn't even see this coming. So we were just chilling, and fucking black dude was throwing the fuck, and Cyclone said something like, "Yeah, whatever, dog." So the black dude says something smart like, "What?" And then they got into it, man. So fucking Cyclone stood up, and then they fucking start getting down in front of the fucking dorm and shit. Everybody just watching, the Nortes, the blacks, everybody, including me. That shit was happening right in front of my eyes, like right here, a couple of feet away. And see, what happens is, if there's a one-on-one regular fight, they could just fight till the end as long as nobody stomps somebody out and anything like that. So not everybody will get involved in shit. Nobody has to jump in. It wouldn't have to be a riot, you know what I'm talking about? So they started getting down and shit, man. So you would expect, if you don't know any better and shit, you would expect that the big buff guy, the fucking like muscle head and shit, all fucking strong, would beat up Cyclone, man. Cyclone didn't really even have any fucking muscles, man. He can do push-ups, but he was just like a regular guy, dog. Even my skinny ass, I believe, was stronger than him and shit. But and he can't even hardly see. Like, he got bad eyes and shit. Sometimes he would have to go like this to trying to look for trying to see things, man. He had bad eyes, but somehow when they started getting down and shit, he was just dodging the punches from the black dude, cause Musclehead, he couldn't fight. He was like hella slow and shit, and Cyclone, my boy, he just started dodging some shit and just giving him jabs, and eventually the police came in there. They got knock it off, guys. So the staff goes in there and pepper sprayed them both, and it was stopped, and that was it. And long story short, the black dude ended up having a fucking black eye and shit. So it's not always about the thing. So my boy Cyclone, he got hard, man. He does his own thing. He goes to the sweat lodge. He's legitimately a freaking proud Native American. He said that was his ancestor, that was his people's, and he wanted to learn everything. He was learning that, and he was a book enthusiast, because he had this book before, and he was like, "Hey, youngster, come here," and he would show me like, "Hey, fool, we're the same, dog," because he was showing me the fucking Chinese folks that some of the Native Americans from the United States came from the East, from China and shit, and he was showing the faces, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're the same people." Like that was crazy. And then but originally he was Christian. Before he was studying how to go to Sweat Lodge and be a Native American, he was a Christian at first. And sometimes at night in the dorm, he would call me at nighttime and shit. I'm trying to sleep, listen to my little radio and shit in my zone. And, "Hey, youngster, what's up? Hey, fucking do me a favor, dog. Come fucking pray with me and shit." And I'm like, fuck it. I was born a Catholic right here in the Philippines, so I believe in God. So we would pray. I'll for sure, man. I'll pray with you, dog. So it was cool. He's a good ass dude and shit. So I already ran into Native Americans before I even hit the penitentiary, the Pinta. So that was a good ass homie and shit. So fast forward, doing time, I hit Tracy DVI and shit. Even then, I had a celly. I had an Indian celly, man. I didn't know anything about President politics at first because I was new to the game. I mean, yeah, there were some people that I talked to from here and there, but they would just lace me up. I would just talk to them for like a couple 15 minutes or whatever and shit, and they would just shake the spot. But I didn't have the Asian Islander celly. I had a Puerto Rican celly, then I had the Indian the American Indian, the Native American, and that's what I'm talking about right now. I'm sharing my experience. So yeah, he was my celly, and then he's lacing me up about here and there, but he hasn't really been nowhere, just like the little fire camp of level 2s and level 3s, so he couldn't really tell me that much. But we were just chopping it up. We were being cool. Me, I'm open-minded. I'm trying to learn everything and shit. And then I remember him telling that he doesn't have BO, body odor and shit. And I was like, the fuck, why would you even say that? And I'm like, he's trying to say that his kind, he looked Mexican, man. He looks Mexican, so he would tell me like we don't have BO. The real Indians, Native Americans, they don't have body odor. I was like, oh, is that right? That's pretty cool. And I kind of relate because me myself, I don't have BO, and I'm already like 32 and shit. Unless like I don't take a shower for weeks or whatever. But I know what he was talking about. Anyways, I'm learning. Then fast forward going to fucking Pelican Bay, my first prison mainline. That's where I met the Native Americans, man, the Indians, the American Indians. And shout out to my boy Grumpy from the 818. He's a Native American. And over there in Pelican Bay in A Yard and shit. Even I met them at B Yard first because I was over there in B Yard first before I went to A Yard. But I remember in A Yard because I remember Grumpy, and yeah, man, that was my boy. And how we were clicked up. We're allies, literally. The Asian Islander and the Native American, like this. We go to war together. We do everything together. We eat together, everything, man. We can even sell up if we want to and shit. And the way we shake our hands, the way I shake their hands, if I was to shake a Native American's hand, it was like this. You know what I'm talking about? And yeah, that's what I know. That's what I was seeing, and that's what I experienced. This was back in Pelican Bay, 2009, 2010, and shit. Somewhere around that time. And then yeah, they're crazy too, man. One of the two of the American Indian, I guess they got into it. Nobody knows the whole story and shit, but he ended up killing his celly, man. So, this is Pelican Bay. This is a fucking stressful area, very stressful area, cause it's Pelican Bay. So, yeah, man. So they get it cracking when they have to, but they're very humble people, really down to earth. And I used to go to work with in the optical making glasses in the PIA in AR and shit. We were with them. We eat together, we make a spread together, we work together, we chop it up together. And then we would have our little place right here, and then everybody else would be over there, different races and stuff like that. And I would always trying to learn, trying to listen to what they gotta say, and they would always have the same story about. I know a lot of their culture because from what I was told, according to their point of view, and they would tell me, what was it they say? They always say that before somebody had predicted, because that's how they have visions, and their visions is passed on from peoples to peoples and peoples, and only like the chief, somebody that's like special or somebody that has the power to see things, and they would tell the peoples like, yeah, they've seen this vision. There's gonna be an alien coming in to fucking ruin us, to change our ways and stuff like that. Those are bad people. Those are this and that. They're gonna try to ruin everything and change our ways and stuff like that. And from what the Indian homies would talk about is they were the white man because they said they look like the alien, and I don't know, man. That's the way they explained it. I'm just sharing my experience of what they were talking about, and I'm hearing us say the same stories over and over, and like I said, that was my experience in Pelican Bay, and then I hit motherfucking Kern Valley, A Yard, and we were still together. The Asian Islander car and the Native American car, man, it was still like this. They were still together, man. We went to war together. The Native American, the AI, the American Indian, and some of the homies and shit, the Uzi homies, the Asian Islander homies and shit, they took off on the wires, man, on Kern Valley A Yard and shit. But don't get me wrong, not all the yards are the same. I'm just speaking from my experience about the yard that I've been through. So this was around 2010, you know what I'm talking about? So in Kern Valley, and from what I know, from what the homies will tell me from the different yard, because Kern Valley has like 4 yards, A, B, C, and D, whatever, and gym too, and what do you call this? They in different yards, the Native Americans would be clicked up and allies with the whites, with the woods. So, but in A yard they weren't. They were with us. So I guess it depends which yard or whoever's their shot caller or whoever is the big guy and shit. But that was my experience. And then fast forward to motherfucking Calipat. So I ended up going to Calipatria State Prison, and over there they have their own car, because the Asian Islander car is with the other car is with the others, like the Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Colombians, and the rest of the non-affiliates and shit. They're just called others. Even Egyptian or Ethiopian or any race that's not gang affiliated, that is a Sureño or a Norteño or a white or black or something like that. But even in the Asian Islander car, you can still be inside the car, even if you're white, black, or Mexican, as long as you can prove that you're from an Asian gang, you're from a Samoan gang, and people can vouch for you, you're telling the truth, and you got families that are Asian and Samoa and Asian Islander background and shit. You can still be in the Asian Islander car, in the other car, even if you're white, black, or Mexican. Just so that was clear. So yes, in Calipat, the Native Americans would have their own car, but we would still be cool because some of the OG natives that came from the 4 yard in the 180s, they know what's up, they know the business. But then you got the new ones, or the youngster ones that never been to the 4 yards and shit. They're just like level 3, so they probably don't know and shit. So it depends which yard in what year, you know what I'm talking about. So in Calipat, they had their own car, but we were still cool. Like me personally, I would do business with them. I would do business with everybody and shit, you know. And they got to connect, man. They got to connect. They go to sweat lodges and stuff like that, and they're they do their own thing, but they're mostly solid, man. They're fucking solid, the Native Americans. And from then on, after I left Calipat, I ended up going to Ironwood. And later on down the line in the future and shit, before I paroled from Ironwood, they had their own car there too, because I don't remember us being together in Ironwood and shit. Ironwood's a level 3, and the Native Americans, they have their own car over there. But yeah, to summarize the whole thing, that was my experience doing time with the Native Americans. So hopefully I shed some light and you guys saw from my point of view, from my perspective, from my experience, what I've been through and how I see them, and you know, talk about. But shout out to the AI homies, to the American Indian homies, man. So there you go. Anywho, I'm out of here, man. Say what you mean and mean what you say, homie, because real recognize real, homeboy. Good looking out, good looking out.